I said I wanna rock.
Are we gonna be goofing off like this every day?
We're not goofing off. We're creating musical fusion.
Wow, you're amazing, dude.
Thanks. I like to play.
I'm a small reporter from Rolling Stone magazine that's in town to do an exclusive interview with Michael Jackson.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
It is time for the Unsigned and Unhinged Meltdown.
Hey everybody, this is the Unsigned and Unhinged Meltdown. I am your host, Frank E., and I have with me a good friend that I've known for quite some time, and he has asked me to refer to him in this, so his Sprukeness, I got with me Spruke, a.k.a. Bill. How you doing today, Bill?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be on Unsigned and Unhinged.
Dude, I'm glad to have you on here. I've been listening to you for quite a while. And for people that haven't listened to you that are, tuning into the podcast, you mainly just do like EDM and dance type music, correct?
Largely, I would say that I've always done electronic music. I actually kind of figured out recently that electronic is EDM, and I've been turning my styles more towards EDM proper. I would say for probably the first 8 or 9 years that I was Spruke, I was focusing heavily on synth pop, which is kind of where you're writing just songs, and the songs all happen to be very electronic. Like, you're not making rock songs, you're making like rock songs, but just with synthesizers instead of guitars. Yeah. But recently I've figured out that synth pop, it's great. I love a lot of synth pop bands like The Faint and Cut Copy and a lot of other great ones. But EDM is now my true love, and I understand that EDM is the successful form of electronic music, and something about making almost 200 mixes of house music has really had me fall in love with EDM.
Yeah, you've done a lot of remixes, which we're gonna touch on, further on. But how do you feel like when it comes to like EDM music now? There's the dubstep scene that's been kind of moving in. How do you feel that relates with electronic music or EDM?
So that's actually really interesting you say that, because electronic music is not one thing. And it's obviously a lot of genres that sound different, but I also think the genres are fundamentally 4 different things. And for a really long time, what electronic music meant to me was, like I said, synth pop. The idea that you have... How do I put this? Synth pop, the idea that you're making songs that people will learn the words to, sing along with. They have melodies, they have choruses, and that's what electronic music meant to me.
Like Daft Punk.
Yeah, like Daft Punk, or even a
Prodigy.
Fatboy Slim and Moby did these a lot. Chemical Brothers would make these a lot. BT was an excellent example of this.
Block Rockin' Beats.
Exactly.
I don't know anything that goes on in that song other than just saying Block Rockin' Beats.
But there's now some of the music is not only a different genre, but it's fundamentally 4 different things. Mm-hmm. So if you look at remix genres I like a lot, like house and techno, house music and techno is not meant to be songs. You're not supposed to hear them and say, this is my favorite techno song, and sing along. It wouldn't actually really be much of a techno song if you knew all the words and sung along. Those are for losing yourself in, just, like giving yourself over to that song and letting it happen to you, and kind of existing in a wordless space. And, it's music that transcends boundaries in a lot of ways. It's a lot of ways techno and house are like the worldwide music, the music that's welcome in every country. It doesn't matter if it's in another language. And meanwhile, dubstep, I stay away from dubstep myself. I've flirted with it because I really like those bass lines. But there's also a question of values. And I know I don't mean to judge a whole genre here, but I only dabble in dubstep because there's very much a bro mentality pervading dubstep that's very aggressive. And the more dubstep I listen to, especially since it started getting very influenced by trap, there's become even more focus on gunshots shouts and kind of unnecessary profanity. So you get a lot of these songs where it's just about being the biggest badass on the block, and there's no room left for subtlety. So you have build, and then somebody will yell like, "Shoot a bitch!" Ah! And then the whole thing comes in. I am just at that point. There's kind of like an arms race among these people, especially some of the biggest names, to kind of outdo each other on that front, and it gets too vulgar for me.
I feel like two of the biggest names, or one of the biggest names in the dub set, it would be like Skrillex or Bass Nectar.
So Skrillex and Bass Nectar are kind of what got me into it, and they've remained pretty pure. But well, I don't want to be a hater on anybody here because it's not in my blood. But there's a vein that people like Datsik, Excision, Schism have been following that's getting very popular, and it's starting to even seep into house music now too, where you just do these really, really foul things, and it's becoming more not a place to lose yourself, but a place to like punch the person next to you too. It's electronic metal in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I don't mean to hate on metal, but I'm from the love side of house music, you know?
I love all types of music, and you know that. So,
Yep.
Except for country. I really can't stand country music, but there is some that I can actually get into. So, out of curiosity, I mean, Mew and I, we've talked for a while, but we've never actually went into this. So, how did you come up with the name Spruke, and is there any kind of meaning behind it?
Actually, this is a story I've told on a couple interviews now, and the story is this. When I was growing up, I had a great friend, still friends with him today, but this particular friend was one of those people who just doesn't really like music that much, or didn't at the time. And so when everybody in high school was really into music, he wasn't, and he would shut us up by talking about a fictitious band named Spruke that was better than all the bands we liked. So he would say things like, okay, let me think back. This would be like high school, right? So it'd be like, oh man, I'm so into the newest Rage Against the Machine album. And he'd be like, whatever. Spruke was doing that like 5 years ago. They're the only band I'll ever listen to. And there was no such thing as a Spruke. So it was just kind of like a troll where whatever we liked in music, Spruke was like doing that on their last album. It was nowhere near as good as Spruke's music video. So then when
actually interesting.
Way back before I was anybody of consequence and I still kind of sucked or whatever, and I started being a musician, I did pick for my name Spruke just to troll him and be like, you always said Spruke would be the only band you'd ever listen to. So here I am. And
does he listen to you at least?
Now he does. And as a matter of fact, I stuck with Spruke, even though I have had a little weird pushback because people do think it's supposed to mean something, and I've occasionally worried that like people have guessed like, is that like spewing puke or something? And that's totally not the persona I want to give off at all. But I've stuck with it because it's also one of those things that's like, when you make up a word, you get to have those words. So it's a good thing I'm not like DJ Bill or something, where I'd be very disappointed that I'd wind up being DJ Bill 85 on every service, right?
Or you could end up just being like, oh, I'm brain farting on the name now, but Jerry Maguire. Jerry Maguire, he's like, the Quam.
Yeah, right? So you'll never be first in the Google search. You'll never appear even over the dictionary definition for the word. And when you're like Skrillex or Fish or Bjork or Dead Mouth spelled with a 5, then you own that word and you'll be the person who gets it all. So I stuck with Spruke since then because it's really paid dividends in terms of being unambiguous.
Trust me, because I was actually Googling images trying to find some of your album artwork for when I'm actually playing some of the music, and I typed in Spruke in Google search and boom. That's all I saw was just your stuff. And I was just like, well, this is just going to be great.
It really beats naming your band like the Sweater Massacre or something, and then, never appearing over results for Sweater Shopping or the Boston Massacre.
I had a friend whose band's name was the Medulla Oblongata because they wanted something weird, and they were like, well, the Medulla Oblongata is, where anger comes from. So we're an angry band. And I'm like,
When you do that, you're going to be disservicing everybody, because now not only do you have fans who are mad they can never find your material because the first 5 pages are anatomy related.
Exactly.
But you occasionally have a grad student who winds up searching for like Medulla Oblongata Facts or something and gets your song called Facts instead.
Exactly.
And is like, who are these idiots? I was trying to study for my exam, damn it.
Or how do I spell that?
Yeah, if you're going to pick a word, don't make it Medulla Oblongata.
So, seeing as we're talking about like Google and such, how do you feel that social media has affected the music industry, and has it helped you, or has it like kind of deterred you a little bit?
I mean, it's helped me a lot, but it's as easy to make missteps as it is successes. So I think that in a lot of ways, this is going to be really controversial. Social media is a lot like traditional wealth building, okay? There's getting rich quick. There's building a slow and steady retirement account over the period of years, but it's boring. And there's winning the lottery. And this is, you're going to see me going real deep here. Keep in mind, by the way, that by day I'm the chief technology officer of a social media startup. So I'm thinking about this all day anyway. With social media, I think a lot of people take the wrong lessons away from people who won the lottery, which is not a plan that you can admire, right? So something happens like Damn Daniel, and everybody's like trying to dissect it. Like, how can we be the next Damn Daniel? Or to a lesser extent, I'm trying to think of a band that was mostly propelled by a single iconic music video. I mean, I would say that like nobody really ever heard of Gautier until the revolutionary video for Somebody That I Used to Know, or Skrillex until the amazing video for Equinox First of the Year. Obviously, now I'm going to go.
I'm trying to think of that band that did the cover of Boys in the Hood.
Exactly. So you get one of those and it blows up. But I don't really think there's rhyme or reason. And in fact, the only thing that you can really do is not do any of the things that have worked before. Because now that Cash Me Outside, How About Dat Girl is a multi-millionaire with her own reality TV show.
Wait, she's got her own TV show now? Where have I been?
The TV show is her acting poorly and being toxic and badly adjusted to people around her. And, it's unfortunate. It's like a lot of those reality TV shows that kind of exploit people who really, the girl should just be getting anger management counseling or something. I shouldn't judge. It's not my place. But what I say is, though, a lot of people are going to go say, how can I go on Dr. Phil and make $1 million? And now you can't. Somebody
Catch
already
me
won
outside,
that
bro. How about
competition.
that?
Somebody already did it. And so whatever it is, Damn Daniel, if you had sat me down like 2 days before Damn Daniel came out and said, you know what the next viral sensation is going to be? There's going to be a video of one high schooler excitedly calling her friend's shoes cute. And it's going to be the most viewed video of 2016. I would have said, okay, fine, whatever. You can't see it coming, and so you shouldn't be planning to go viral like that. So that leaves the other two plans is get rich quick or build a retirement account. And I tried get rich quick. When I started having a little bit of social media success, I hired a Hollywood social media manager who would do my social media for me. He bought me all these ad campaigns, got me advertising on all the right services, sponsored tweets and things like that. And what I discovered was that was massively good for numbers and analytics, but it wasn't the same thing as fans.
Exactly.
So I actually severed my relationship with that manager about 18 months ago or so, because it wound up being a curse as much as a blessing. The person got me, 1 million followers on social media through all this advertising budgets we had, paid placements, all these other things, and that was great. But none of those people who would follow me, or people who, like, I tweeted a funny meme or a great selfie, or they thought I was cute, or all this number of other things, that's not the same thing as somebody who likes my music, okay? And so that was a lesson I learned the very hard way, because then I refocused. I dropped all that. I stopped doing these ad buys, campaigns, things that are designed to get publicity, and I just started focusing on direct communication with fans, and that is worth 1 million times more. So it's like I had, 1 million followers on social media in general, but I kind of try to reset with Twitch. With Twitch, I didn't do any social media tricks. I'm just on there streaming every day, myself making music. So if I get a follow on Twitch, that's not from any kind of targeted ad buy or an attempt to capitalize on a meme. It is solely because that person liked me. Now I have, I think, like 10,000 views on the Twitch across like 500 followers. Every stream usually has about 20 people watching. And you know what? I like that better, because that's 20 people who actually know me and like me and care. So to some extent, all I would say to people from that lesson is forget about winning the lottery, because that's unpredictable, and also forget about getting rich quick, because I made that mistake. The only way to do this is the long, slow, and steady grind, and nothing is a substitute for work. That's why I'm DJing every day. That's me playing a show every day. And I probably DJ'd maybe 3,000 or 4,000 total hours of my life now. And there's just going to be that many more. I've made 200 mixes. I've been doing the 4 to 6 hour show on Friday, every Friday, for years. And nothing replaces that amount of work, because that's the only way to get fans who like me and what I do. Exactly. And to be fair, that's also more meaningful than the people who got rich quick. Like the Damn Daniel girl, she got to go on Ellen, which was sweet. But at the end of the day, how many people really know what she's like or care about her? Whereas these, I mean, you're here interviewing me right now.
Exactly.
You know Spruke, and you know what Spruke's message is and what he has to say to people.
Yeah, and going into like this social media thing, because I know you're putting up a lot of things on YouTube. You have a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Tons.
And this is how I got into Spruke, guys. So a buddy of mine, this is no diss to Dave Matthews Band. It's not my style of music. I'm not saying they're not talented, but they're talented. It's just not my style. But a buddy of mine is a huge Dave Matthews Band fan, and he was just YouTubing, searching for different lyric videos for different songs, and then he's also a fan of covers, so he forgot to take out cover when he typed in Dave Matthews Band Gravedigger lyrics. So cover was in the title, and Spruke's version of Gravedigger popped up, and he was listening to it, and he's like, dude, you gotta hear this. So he comes, when he comes over to my house, he plays it. I'm like, wow, this is actually really good. And I don't like Dave Matthews Band at all. I know we kind of had this talk before the interview, and you actually said you had an interesting story about Gravedigger, which is going to be the song I'm going to be playing here in a second. But why don't you tell us a little bit about, like, because I know how you decided to do it, because we had this talk a few years back when you said you heard the song and you felt like it needed a more gothy feel to it.
I mean, that's exactly the story, right? So the song is kind of a ballad. It's a traditional rock ballad about the singer walking through a graveyard and looking at these tombstones and hypothesizing what the people's lives might have been like, and how, like, just entire experiences are summed up. And so, when he sings it, it's kind of mopey in a good way, in the mopey way that Dave Matthews can be, where he kind of like slurs his words a little and he's emotional over some guitar. And when I hear that, I'm like, dude, this is the most goth song that's ever been made. You are in a graveyard looking and feeling powerful sadness for all the dead people and talking to the grave digger who will dig your grave, okay? Like, that's gothy. So I just went back to it and gave it, like, the sincere, like, German industrial goth treatment so that it could sing, you know, grave digger, when you dig my grave. And I felt like that's the song it deserved to be. And I'm glad that, you know, people got in touch with that.
Yeah. So here it is, guys. This is Spruke's. Was this your first song that you actually recorded and put on YouTube too, by the way, or no?
It was my first song on YouTube for sure. Obviously, at the point in time it came out, I had already been making music for like 10 years. But you're talking about like 2008 now or something. Yeah, so I had just barely started getting on board.
Well, I looked on iTunes before the show. It said 2010 as the date on it. So, I mean, you could have wrote it before then, but that's when it was available on iTunes. I mean,
that's probably right then. I mean, now we're talking about the long, long ago. So whatever it is, it's the long, long, long ago.
But anyway, so guys, here's Spruke's rendition of the Dave Matthews Band song Gravedigger.
Jones.
All right, guys, that was Gravedigger by Spruke. I hope you liked it as much as I did. You can find it on iTunes. You can listen to it on YouTube. I shouldn't say all, but a lot of his music is up on YouTube, which is how I initially found Bill, or his Sprukeness. So, going into, like, when I got into Gravedigger, and then right after I heard Gravedigger for the first time, you had another project that was emerging, which we're going to have a special podcast just for that, but The Gathering was coming out, and being as I played Magic the Gathering like very heavily at the time and very competitively, I kind of really got sucked into Spruke. And we actually messaged on Facebook a lot about that, but he had sent me over some of his music because I was doing a fundraiser, and a buddy of mine had bought it, and we were really getting into the music that he had, and we were looking for tracks to play while we were DJing. And the song that really kind of jumped out at us was off. It was your second CD, right? Infectipede was your second CD.
The Infectipede EP, yeah, second CD.
So we were sitting there jamming, and we're like, man, this is a great CD. And I'm like, dude, I told you, he's got good stuff. And he's like, we should play this song. And that was Virkan and Nick Deutsch.
Yes. So
when we played it, there, I don't want to say audience, but the patrons in the bar, they were kind of like trying to come up with a dance for it. And they were like stomping their feet and just kind of like almost like moshing, but yet dancing at the same time. And I wish my phone had crashed, and I had the video on my old phone when I played it again. And at this point, you and I had lost contact on Facebook. That's neither here nor there, but when everything started happening again, I was going to send it to you, but the very next day my phone crashed. So
bummer. I would have liked to see that
video. But it was really interesting watching these guys just do this thing. It was pretty cool. So going with that, what was the basis behind that song?
So to talk about that a little, early on, I was really into industrial, and this is a talk I've given before, but I love giving it. I am really not into industrial at all anymore, honestly. I've only kept up with one or two particularly genius bands that still really speak to me, particularly like Aesthetic Perfection is a big one. Shout out to Daniel Graves, who appeared on my last album. But when I was in college, I loved industrial. I'm talking KMFDM, Combi Christ, and all these bands that were like various chemical compounds with numbers after their name, right? FGFCA 20 and Assemblage 23 and stuff. So what I liked about them was that at that point in time, what passed for electronic music, we had moved on from the phase of Prodigy and Chemical Brothers. What was going on in most of the world was like Europop, and like everything that I thought of as techno was going through its happy hardcore and trance phases. Yeah. And it was, baby, you're all that I want.
Oh, gosh.
Stuff like that. And so it was like happy music. And what I always liked, and what I grew up liking about Prodigy and Aphex Twin, was like, we're going to make electronic music that is distorted, that kicks ass, okay? And for a while...
My first... don't mean to cut you off, but like my first introduction to like that style of music, it was like huge when I was in high school, was I believe the band was LA Style, and they did the song James Brown Is Dead.
I don't know that one. I think I'm a little older than you, or maybe a little younger in one direction. Like when I was...
we're not that far apart.
Okay, because I was really into like My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. Mm-hmm. KMFDM, just these people who were finding ways to make electronic music kick ass, while a lot of other people were making like, no knock on Moby, but a lot of the time he had the soft cooing beats too, like do 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 do, we're in love, stuff like that.
Oh my!
And so
you're starting to sound like Aqua right there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just wanted my beats to be dirty. I liked my music to be electronic and distorted, and that left industrial. But what I never particularly had to get into was I didn't necessarily know why liking industrial meant that your name had to be like sound paramilitary, and why you had to sing like this.
Now you're starting to sound like Rammstein there, man. What's going on?
Exactly, right? And so I never was into that. I still could have gone for danceable music. So what happened, at least in my life, maybe this happened for some other people, but to me, around 2008, dubstep starts coming out. And this is pre-Skrillex dubstep. This is when it was still UK dubstep, when it was still alternatively called dubstep versus UK grime.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that, for me, it's eating industrial's lunch. Because we finally have music that has more focus on rhythm and danceability, that has all the grit, all those big thumping bass lines, drums that want to punch you in the face. But it doesn't need to be called the Parajet 859 and have a dude going, "We are in the killing fields with the Superman robots. Nietzsche is everything."
Oh my.
I mean, I don't mean to knock, but that was never a requirement for why I would like the things I liked. It was just part of it. And then I found a more pure expression of that. Well, then, a few years later, I find that house music is actually starting to catch up to dubstep. So actually then, as dubstep is going in a direction that I don't like as much, because like I said, dubstep is starting to become more and more aggressive and a contest to be who can be the most vulgar and filthy, electro house is kind of coming out. And this is finally where I hit my real sweet spot. You've got people like Tiesto and Wolfgang Gartner, who used to make anthems that were pretty, starting to make really filthy beats, big room beats, and Hardwell and Avicii happen, and suddenly industrial's a distant memory. Nobody is singing in these gritty European voices anymore, or doing all the air raid sirens in every song.
Yeah.
And so I still like to go back and listen to KMFDM, and I'll still keep up with every new album Aesthetic Perfection releases. But even that's because they moved to being synth pop. They moved to being synth pop, much to the chagrin of much of their fans.
Yeah. So with Virkon and Nick Deutsch, what would you say? I had to Google it because I'm like, dude, what is he saying?
So yeah, that was actually a send up at the time. This was 2010 now I released that. This was a send up of how silly I thought industrial music kind of was. And me and my friends had a running joke about the industrial club attendee who knew how to count to 4 in German, but no higher. Because you would always hear the music say 1, 2, 3, 4. You wouldn't know that 5, 6, 7, 8 came next, because you only have to say 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think we have Leibach specifically to thank for that. Lord knows that constant Leibach was always a hit at those events. But so at the time, I decided to make a song in German, and with my rudimentary knowledge of German, Wir können nicht Deutsch means we can't speak German, but it's a little informally, and it actually kind of just means we don't German. We don't German. And so the irony of it was a song misrepresenting how cool having all your lyrics in German was by goofing the German lyrics. But it winds up just sounding like such an awesome...
And it has such a great beat to it. Seriously, that was not listening to the lyric portion, because when we were when me and my friend were actually looking for the songs to play, we weren't looking at lyrics. We were looking for, the beat. And, because if you get in the lyrics, don't even get me started on Robin Thicke, because I don't know how many times I'd have these girls running up to me, "Can you play Blurred Lines? Do you even know what that song's about?"
Yeah, I mean, it does.
I'm like, "Do you know what that song's about?" And they're like, "No, but it's a good song." And I'm like, if you knew what it was about, you would not be requesting it.
Right. I actually have had friends They're in the car with you singing along to a song, and they don't realize the words they're saying. They're just singing along to the song. And if you wait until the song ends and then say, sing that chorus again to yourself now, without the music, sing it again to yourself, and then they hear the words they just said out of context, and they're like, oh, wow, that's really fucked up.
Yeah.
You know? You just need to not have it in the moment of the music. But so, Wir können nicht Deutsch, I would call it, from my perspective, it's the best I ever did at Industrial. It nails the feeling, and it's got this great frantic bass line that has no notes for two measures, and then it goes ham, and it's just got that do.
And honestly, it's still one of my favorite songs you've ever done.
Oh, thanks. I mean, and so that song actually...
it's in my top 10, like, of your huge musical library. It's, like, probably not even in the top 10. It's probably in the top 5.
That's awesome. There's a punk band in Minnesota, the Von Tramps, that covers that song live. They turn it into a punk song.
Oh.
You might be able to find that on
I might
YouTube.
have to try and find that. I definitely got to find that one. But without any further ado, off his second album, Infectipede, which is an EP, you can also find this on iTunes. I'm almost 100% sure it's on Wir können nicht Deutsch is on YouTube as well. Am I right?
Yeah, the video would be old as heck, though, and probably encoded at 128. So it might not be the best place to listen to it. Like, it might be low quality, because that was back in the day before, like, I even had the option to HD video.
Yeah, but it's on there if you want to give it a listen to. So without any further ado, off his second CD, this is Wir können nicht Deutsch. Alright, guys, that was Wir können nicht Deutsch. I love the song. I played this song on repeat in a while in my car, and people were like, what are you doing? Like, dude, this song's awesome, dude. How can you not get into it? Like, I hear this song, and I just want to go rage, you know what I mean? But moving on. I know we've dropped so many different, between you and myself during this interview, we've dropped a lot of musical names. Skrillex, KMFDM, KLF, not KMFDM, KLF. I don't know why I said that. But who would you say are some of your biggest influences, whether it's musical or not musical, since, your career has gotten started?
So I would say musically, keep in mind, these are by no means my favorite bands, although they do happen to be my favorite bands. But I have a lot of bands I adore who have had no particular influence on the way I write music. So for instance, I love Radiohead. I've seen Radiohead live several times. I know and love all their songs. There's a Radiohead cover band in town called the Karma Police, who I always like catch.
Yeah,
but I would not say that...
Because people don't know, he's not from the Kenosha area like I am. He's out in Buffalo, New York.
Right. Sorry, I am in Buffalo.
I did not that bombshell on you guys. He's actually all the way in Buffalo.
So I would say, for instance, as much as I love Radiohead, it has had an overwhelming influence on the way I write. The people who have are just pretty much Nine Inch Nails and The Faint. I have my own style, but musically, I tend to run into the thing Nine Inch Nails did a lot. I frequently catch myself writing Nine Inch Nails beats by accident. I just tend to intersect with them a lot. And then the other biggest influence has been The Faint in terms of how I will mix myself. So, I see The Faint as a real pioneer in making recognizable music with vocals that you have glitched the hell out of. And there used to always be this trade-off, and it still kind of exists in a lot of industrial music, where if you take these Combi Christ or KMFDM kind of bands, where you're going to run your voice through a lot of effects, then you're going to be losing a ton of intelligibility for it, right? So you kind of these like... And yet, The Faint found a way to do that, where their voice... The dude's like a robot, and yet you can hear every word, and it's actually like... You wish he could really sing like that. You just listen to a song like Desperate Guys or Symptom Finger. The vocals are so heavily edited, and yet they're still so human. And that is like the mantra of vocals that I have taken to my own heart. Like when Spruke sings, I have a particular way that I will make myself sound that is like not a way a human sounds. It is like a robot sound, but not like Daft Punk is a robot. In a different way, where it's just like that's how Spruke sings. And it winds up being pretty unique, and I like the way it has evolved with me.
Because if you listen to his music, and you're hearing, this is his real voice. There's no synthesizer over his voice, okay? So if you, trust me, you listen to him, the first time I actually talked to Bill in person, well, not in person face-to-face, but we spoke, I was like... I'm supposed to be talking to Spruke. And he was like, that's me. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, my bad.
I mean, I do sound a lot like I do, on the podcast. Or on
the podcast, yeah, because you did the podcast before I think I talked with you when I was asking you for a research paper I was doing for school.
Okay, yeah. The podcast was...
You started the podcast after that, I think.
The podcast started on December 3rd, 2012, and has run uninterrupted since then, but next week is its last week. And that is okay with me.
It's sad. It's sad.
It's all right.
I've downloaded them all. I'm serious. And actually, if you go back to the early episodes, he gives me a shout-out. So you should go
I believe it.
I think it was like your third or fourth episode.
So the only thing is just that I am not stopping the production of mixes at all. I am just stopping the podcast, because the podcast particularly is like a curated 1-hour experience. And the podcast is like a curated 1-hour experience. And now that most of my DJing is taking place on Twitch each week, I'm kind of curating for 4 hours, not 1 hour. furthermore, the podcast was always hosted at MTG Cast, which has been a great and welcoming home for me. But since I have unfortunately fallen out of sync with Magic the Gathering in like the last 2 years or so, I don't feel like I'm really deserving of that audience anymore. I was for a very long time when I was like the Magic the Gathering DJ, but now at least temporarily while I'm away from the game, I don't feel I deserve them.
I think everybody walks away for a little bit of time. I took a step away for a while. I'll still play casually, or I'll play like Commander with my roommates and stuff like that, but I don't go and play like standard events or modern or legacy. I won't play competitively anymore. I'll just play casually. Like the most competitive I'll get is like, oh, there's a pre-release or there's a draft going on. I don't need to have a deck built together. I could just go and draft. You know what I mean?
I almost don't. I don't feel though like I'm done with Magic or I'll ever be. I mean, I have the mana symbols tattooed across my chest, and
what a great place to
all
have
my
them.
friends. Yeah, as a matter of fact, once I took my shirt off on stream. I took my shirt off on stream, and the green mana symbol green screens with my green screen filter behind me, so it looks like I have a hole in my chest that you can see right through. Which now that's pretty goth.
I
anyway,
gonna have to go back and watch that episode.
I mean, good luck finding it. I have a playlist on YouTube called the DJ Sets playlist, and I think it's like several hundred hours of continuous video now. So.
Hey, I don't have a problem just sitting down and listening to you go to town on stuff. So I'm pretty sure we've touched base on this question I'm going to ask you now. But if we did, I feel we have, but just give it over again for the audience. What made you choose this style of music? Because I know you can play guitar. We've talked about this before. You play guitar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can play keyboard.
I can play both poorly. Yes.
But you can you have the ability to play so, but you chose this style rather than enhancing your guitar or keyboard, rather just sticking to this style. What made you chose this style rather than going into one of the other many forms you could have chose?
I mean, that's really a tough question to answer. In a lot of ways, it's just identity, or like I can't take every path at once. I pick one. This one just spoke to me. In college, like I said, it was really that I loved electronic music in high school. A lot of electronic music was donkey or ditzy, and some of it kicked ass. And then it kept growing from there. Industrial became what kicked ass. Then I kind of liked the scene anyway because I was kind of gothy and I liked dressing in black and wearing makeup and stuff and just being
now you're like all really bright colors.
Yeah, well, so like I said, once I didn't need to find the norms of the industrial community welcoming anymore, I sort of realized how silly it was. Plus, you get a little older and you're not so worried about gender anymore, and so I'm like a bit over. Gender kind of fell apart, and I don't really care about having pink hair and earrings and nose rings and stuff. Like, I'm fine with all that.
Yeah.
I just want to be where I am, which is like, somewhere where I'm kind of defining myself. And I don't know. Electronic music is the superset of all other music. And then house music is even greater than that, the superset of music outside of that, because as I've been proving recently, everything comes downhill to house. I am seeing to that when I do all my new EDM bootlegs.
Yeah, man, this goes back to high school for me, but it's like I said, I'm in Wisconsin and you're in New York, so I'm sure you might have been able to hear this stuff like through underground or what have you, but out here by us, we have a radio station that's called B96, and they would have, I believe it was on Saturday night, they would do a live house party, and they had Bad Boy Bill and Bobby D and Too Cool Chris. That was my, like, kind of really get into the house music scene. Have any of those guys, like, got out by you at all, or is that just, are they pretty much local?
Actually, it's funny you should mention that. First off, adore Bad Boy Bill. Not only have I seen him spin twice, and he was fire both times, but he also founded Beatport, which is like the best legal place for DJs to buy music, and I've bought all my music legally from there. All the stuff I spin, minus underground bootlegs, because those aren't available to buy in any case. But if you're watching my show and I'm spinning anything that isn't an underground bootleg of something that the person has no right to sell, then I bought it legally from Beatport, compensating the artist, which is really important to me.
Yeah.
Second, Bad Boy Bill, class act. So he came out with a new track just 3 weeks ago that I really liked. It was called Balls and Lick. And the track had a sick beat. I loved the beat. But the lyrics were just too vulgar for me to spin on my show. Like, I try to run a family-friendly show when possible, which definitely means no language disparaging to women. A little profanity is okay with me. Like, the kind of profanity you might say, like, for emphasis, like some profanity that's like, this is the real shit, or something. Like, okay,
what the fuck's your problem?
Yeah, so definitely this song that just chanted over and over again, balls and lick, I'm all up on that dick. And it's a really good track, though. So I'll
have to check that out, and I will definitely have to check it out.
I tweeted, I really want to buy Bad Boy Bill's track, Balls and Lick. It's just too vulgar for my show, but God, what a sick beat. And that guy, Bad Boy Bill himself, DM'd me a clean version of it later that day.
Oh, wow, that is awesome.
Check your DMs. I want you to be able to spin this, even though you said it was vulgar, so here's a clean version. I took out the swears for you. And I'm like, dude, that is like capital cool DJ stuff. So massive love for Bad Boy Bill right now for hooking me up with Balls and Lick clean version. Not that there's really a lot left once you clean it up, because that's all the song is Balls and Lick, I'm all up on your dick. But
well, like, I remember a buddy of mine, this was back when I was going to college the first time. I was going for a degree in communications, and I was trying to be a radio DJ. It's what I wanted to be. And they had edited versions of songs. And there was ICP, Insane Clown Posse's Fuck the World. And whenever, like, they had the edited version. And I was sitting there listening to the edited version going, why even bother playing this?
Yeah, so when I do these EDM bootlegs, when I do these EDM bootlegs, I clean them up on the way, because mostly I'm making for them because I'm doing a lot of clubs on the casino circuit this summer, and they usually have pretty strict profanity rules because the casino tries to be like all ages. And so when I make like my Spruke mix of Hypnotize, for instance, by Biggie, or Drop It Like It's Hot by Snoop Dogg and Pharrell, I also censor it while I'm in there. And some of these songs, particularly, there's just nothing left in some parts. There's definitely a place in the second verse of my Hypnotize mix where he's like, what's up with the papa and the, and, yep, and, yep. And it's like, man, he just went off the handle there, because the original one was
remember
like,
listening to that.
Bitches.
Yeah. I remember listening to that on YouTube. So, you know, with all that, I know we talked about your involvement with Magic, and we kind of collaborate on that a little bit. I want to say this is your 5th CD, Fact or Fiction.
Yep.
And we're going to play a track off of that. Now, I've noticed, like, even the title of the album and the song titles in the song seem like they are all Magic related. Just the titles. The songs themselves don't seem like they're about Magic, but it's just like Natural Order, that's a Magic card. Fact or Fiction, that's a Magic card. All Is Dust, that's a Magic card. Was that just kind of like something you were just trying to spin off of, or just having a little inside joke with you and Magic, or like how did that come about?
Not really so much either. It's not meant to be an inside joke, nor is it a lark, but it's more like an honest reflection of my artistry. So I played Magic since Revised, okay? I played Magic since Fallen Empires, beginning in 5th grade. I played Magic since 1994. I've played Magic for 23 years, and it has been one of the only forces in my life, even as high school came and went, college came and went, girlfriends came and went, alcoholism and addictions came and went, jobs and careers came and went. Magic is the constant through all that time.
Yeah.
Now I look back at the person I am today, and even though I'm not actively playing right now, when I got married 2 years ago, my bachelor party was all Magic players. The people who were standing up at my wedding, I met through Magic. You know, Patrick Chapin was there. I met him through my music about Magic. Most of the people who discovered me as a DJ did through Magic. Everything about the way I fundamentally think is from Magic. And so the point of naming all those tracks, I mean, the album itself, the album is a mixture of a lot of things. It's an album about terror and paranoia and degeneracy and the scariness of alcoholism and all these other things. But the hidden message, there is not only is every track named after a Magic card, but there is also at least one reference to Magic in every song's lyrics, other than
now I'll have to really go back and try with a fine-tooth comb and try and pick that out.
They are in there. There's a Magic card reference in every one, and that is not just an Easter egg, but it's because it is fundamentally changes my artistry, because there is no Bill or no Spruke without Magic. I have not had like a separate life where I didn't live Magic. This is the only life I had, is one where I played Magic for 23 years, memorized every card, went to Friday Night Magic every week that whole time. So like when I'm writing a song about like nihilism or feeling empty inside, there is no other thing for me to call it except All Is Dust. That is like the direct reference, and it's not because All Is Dust is a Magic card. It's because I think in terms of Magic, right? You played a lot of Magic in your life.
Yes, I have.
Do you ever have the nightmare where you're almost trying to fall asleep, but for some reason sleep is presenting itself to you as a puzzle where you're like tapped out and you have to find a way to attack sleep for lethal or something?
I've had that thought cross my mind many times, or even like when I'm sleeping. Like when I remember when I used to play competitively, like I would always have to carry a little notebook on me, because like I'd be trying to think of different ways to go about certain things in playing Magic, so I'd always have to whip out my notebook and just start, which honestly I got that idea did not come directly from the book, but I read Patrick Chapin's book that he wrote, which the title's on the tip of my tongue.
Next Level Magic and Next Level Deck Building.
Yeah, I read Next Level Magic, which helped me out a lot with my drafting. Because I was having so much trouble with draft and sealed. Like, I'd always be like, I'd grab my first card and be like, yep, this is a bomb card. I'm going mono white. I don't care. I'm going to push it. And I would try and force mono white, and really, like, nothing. I could have went many different routes. So, like, it's helped my drafting out. It's helped my sealed pool and everything. Not the sealed pool, but my sealed game, I should say. And ever since then, it's just like, hey, it's like, I remember there was something in the book is like, if you get an idea, you got to write it down. And so I would keep that little pad of paper on me, and I'd be like, oh, yep, write that down. That's an idea to deal with it. And then I'd get home and I'd Google it, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, that actually would work.
So, I mean, you read about artists and how a lot of them, their art is a way to, like, continually work through something. And there are artists who, their father left them when they were young, and that is fundamentally part of who they are. You can't ask them about what their hit single means aside from the fact that dad left. Or people who for when they were young for a year, they had to go live in a different country, and they always brought back that country's influences with them, and it runs through all their music. Yeah. And that's just me, 23 years of Magic the Gathering. So I guess I'm saying I think of things in my life. Money is mana to me that you have to spend effectively, and there are early games and late games. Businesses are like mana curves. Like the business I help run is growing currently in its mid game. It changes everything. So when I express myself artistically and I want to talk about a depression or something, I think of the Magic card before I think of the human word, right? That's why the album closes on one with nothing, Like the album's end is just like the ultimate in nihilism and like understanding the ending of things, which is something that a Magic card, one with nothing, expressed better than any actual other piece of art I've ever experienced. Yeah. So that is why I reference that. It's not just a gimmick.
So the song that we're going to play off of this album is called Train of Thought. Now, I honestly love this song because just the opening beat, and then it starts like, it's almost like a car crash sound.
Very much so.
And then it just gets that burry. Like I hear that and I'm just in my car, like when I play it in my car, I'm just like going, oh, that's just sick. And I love that. That's probably one of my favorite songs off of that CD. And, it's one of my favorite tracks that you've done. So,
thank you.
I mean, of this, like, what were the Magic influences in this song?
I'd have to go back and listen to it to tell you.
It's been a while since the CD came out.
It has. The only ones I can think of, they're really obvious in All Is Dust. If you go back to All Is Dust, the Magic references in that one are super obvious. Okay. I might have a harder time remembering what the Magic references are in the other tracks on that album. Wait, I think they're pretty obvious in Blind Hunter, too.
I know they were pretty... I thought I was catching some of it on Natural Order.
Yeah, but Natural Order, by the way, that music video, still one of the coolest things I've ever done. Big shout-outs to Studio Nate on the animated music video for that.
The video that I like that you've done that wasn't one that I first seen, which we're going to get to that's going to be one of the later things we talk about, was I like the video for Shoot the Bad Guys.
Yes.
I thought that was really entertaining because it was just like the song itself I like, but like the video is kind of just like it was a chuckle because it's like me. It's like me sitting there playing a video game.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's like what you're thinking.
The continual overlay of fake violence with real violence, like split screen at the same time, like the person playing Call of Duty. And then actual footage of all the troops deploying and dying in, like, Normandy on D-Day is a lot. And I'm really proud of Shoot the Bad Guys because, well, are we going to be covering Shoot the Bad Guys in this episode?
No, we'll probably cover that in another episode, which, like I've said, this man's library is huge. So Spruke will be on at least 2 or 3 episodes, at least. So, I mean, if you guys like it, which I'm sure you do, and if you don't, there's something wrong with you. No, there's nothing wrong with you. Just everybody has different taste in music. For example, like I said before, with my friend like in Dave Matthews Band, and I don't really care for him, we have so many different types of music that are going to be on this podcast. Last week, you guys heard the first rule, 2 weeks ago, you heard the first rule, and they're punk. Last week was Fatal Havoc, and they're kind of a death metal band. And Spruke it's different, and I also have another guy coming up in the future who's based in Ohio, which I actually caught him off of Reverb Nation, DJ Matavi. I don't know if he got out by you or if you've heard anything about him, but I got him on Reverb Nation.
I never heard of him. The world is too big and awesome and DIY for me to have heard everybody now.
But without any further ado, off the album Fact or Fiction, this is Train of Thought.
Sweet.
All right, guys, that was Train of Thought of Fact or Fiction, which you can get on iTunes. You can get on Spotify. Can you get it on Spotify?
Yeah, all my music is available on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.
Okay, awesome.
As well as Amazon Music, Google Play, and all the other online stores.
There you go. So if you ain't got it now, there's no excuse not to go and grab it. Great artist here with Spruke. So you've been doing this for a while now, so you have a wide area to answer this next question. What has been your most memorable show that you have done, whether it's good or bad?
Oh wow, I don't want to talk about the worst. So I mean, I should, right? Well, let's talk about the best. Honestly, I've had a lot of pretty good shows, and really, this is a testament to my community and my patrons who I love so much. My best show consistently over and over online each Friday, because especially as a person who's way over 4 years sober myself, I don't necessarily have to be in the club, or I'm even always comfortable in the club, especially since so much of it is associated with VIP service, drinking, bottles, and I hit all that way too intensely during my years when I was living under the sway of the bottle. And now I actually really respect the way that Twitch has enabled me every Friday to bring a nightclub-like experience, complete with special effects, lighting, and house music right into people's living rooms. And I like that we usually have, between all the three services I stream on, we usually have between 50 and 100 people watching across all three services combined for most of the night. And they're just saying, they're just writing in and saying, I'm watching with my daughter, I'm studying and listening to your beats while I study. I'm cleaning the house and you're helping make it fun. I'm at the gym. All these things. And it's like, I know that doesn't sound like party mode, but that's actually way more meaningful to me. I'm bringing the magic of dance music and rhythm to
magic,
people.
no pun intended. No pun intended with
I'm bringing the magic of rhythm and house music to people in a way that they do not normally get it, that is normally reserved for people who waited outside in the Buffalo cold for 30 minutes in a lame line to get in, and they were shivering out there, and then they're too hot inside, and then somebody spills a Red Bull vodka down the front of their shirt. And that's just been like the story of my life when I go take in EDM. So in a lot of ways, I want to straight up say thank you to people like Low Guppy, Justin DZ, Jake Resco, M. Moral, Shortcut, Art of Blade Wing, all these other people, a lot of them I only even know by username. My show I do from Friday each week is my best show. Now, in terms of other best shows, I'm sure you want to hear about one where I'm, on stage or something, for whatever that's worth. I did a great show as part of the Infringement Festival in Buffalo. The Infringement Festival happens every year, and the Infringement Festival is about putting art in infringing places. It's all theater, dance, performance art, definitely a lot of subculture or hegemony, non-hegemonical art, queer art, underground art, in Buffalo, in places it's not supposed to be. So I was DJing in the middle of the business district, plugged into an outlet on the median in the middle of the street on Main Street in downtown Buffalo during the lunch rush. That was probably the coolest show I ever did. I spun an hour of big room EDM, like dropping the bass into a PA that I had set up in the center of a divided highway, right? In the center of a city street on that strip of grass. I plugged into an outlet that I found behind some bushes that's reserved for like lawn equipment. That's where they plug in their lawn equipment. It's not cool or legal or whatever to do this. I had a generic permit from the city, but they don't expect people to play in the middle of a divided highway. And I dropped the bass on everybody for an hour. Business people walking by on their lunch rush, or like ladies coming in and out of the banking center that's there, or like CEOs. And some people are looking at me like, what is this pink hair person? Like, what is happening right now? I don't understand. And other
I wish I
people
could have seen
are
that
coming
then.
right up and grinding on the table. And so that was great about the infringement festivals. That was like the meaning of infringing. And then I packed up my stuff from that, which was literally a city person property's front yard. So this is like the next infringing spot. Now I'm on a side street in the west side, which is a Hispanic neighborhood. I'm playing in their front yard, and the people who own the house are like just sitting around smoking in lawn chairs, nodding their head, while people like who are driving by at city street speeds, or like kids biking by, are like looking, and they're like, cool. And this time nobody's really participating, but the family's out there the whole time. Dogs are barking. I'm bringing music to this neighborhood randomly. Then I pack up my stuff up again, go do my third set of the day. That one's at an actual bar. But it's a dive bar and a biker bar. So now I'm bringing EDM into the biker bar. And that was also, and they didn't have a table there or any like outlets or PA for me to play in, so I had to set up on the pool table. Which is,
wow.
Again, so the spirit of infringement the whole time. That's my most memorable show, especially the part that was in the street.
That
awesome.
seems awesome. So would you say, like, touching base on your favorite venue, would you say the street then was probably your favorite venue that you've played?
My favorite venue is my Twitch.tv channel, hands down. Other than that, though, the people at Lee's Palace in Toronto were extremely good to me, and the people at the Seneca Niagara Casino are extremely good to me. Big shout outs to the Seneca Niagara Casino. I've played in many bars and clubs over the years. Probably it's managers who start you an hour early, talk about how they didn't see a lot of people dancing, so they're what you agreed on, charging you for your drinks at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And just generally, the casino, though, and big shout-outs to Jose and the other here. Start the minute. You end on the minute. They have a sound guy who has you sounding great the whole time.
Now you were breaking up just a
So
little
those are my
bit
favorite
there.
venues.
You were breaking up just a little bit there when you were talking about giving a shout-out to Jose and
Oh, sorry.
talking about the minute. So
shout out to Jose. They given my experiences at the other places at the casino, they start on the minute, they end on the minute. They pay you properly as soon as it's done, and they have a sound guy who keeps you sounding great. So that's just
awesome.
Incredible. It's especially, I have been confronted by bar owners who are like obviously on cocaine at the end of nights, being like, "Yeah, wow. You never played Brown Eyed Girl. Why didn't you play Brown Eyed Girl?"
Oh
it's
my,
like, man, Or like once the sound guy. This was back when I was in a legit band, so we had a lot of instruments. The sound guy was drunk and like tripped over the mixer console and shut off the sound in the middle of the show. Then just they don't run things like that at the casino.
No,
I love it.
Now I don't know if this is factual information, but I've heard this from somebody else who heard this from a friend who was actually on the Pro Tour for Magic the Gathering. We're going to Magic the Gathering a lot, which is fine because it's a great game. It does a lot for the community. Wizards of the Coast does a lot of work with promoting the game, and for I know for a while they actually were giving out college scholarships too. But someone said that you actually had DJ'd at the Pro Tour at one point.
No, that would be a rumor. Well, I'd love to rather neither decry nor dispel. I have had some really cool things happen around Grand Prix. But as I say so proudly in one song, I never was on the Pro Tour. I have, however, DJ'd at many Grand Prix, as well as kind of just had some cool things happen that I won't get into on the side. You go to different cities and you just happen to bring your equipment with you and see what happens. Mm-hmm. People have hotel rooms,
Yeah. So getting into is going to be like a traditional question on the Unsigned and Unhinged Meltdown with me, Frank E. Everyone knows by now that I am a huge wrestling fan. And what would you say if a wrestler came to you and said, hey, I want to use your music as an entrance theme song? What song would you hand them to be a entrance for a wrestling theme song?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd love to say something like, shuffle them up. Something like that. No, but you want to talk just about something that sounds like a wrestler could walk out to it. Have you ever heard my unreleased track, I Don't Happen?
No, I don't think I have.
All right, I'm going to send it to you. I Don't Happen. You might need to play like the first 30 seconds of it or something on this podcast, because it is the hardest hitting track I ever made, and the first bar of it sounds like something a wrestler would walk out to. You could listen to it, you will close your eyes and see the pyrotechnics. You know exactly where they fall. You're gonna when you hear I Don't Happen, you're gonna picture the wrestling entrance.
Well, if I don't get it on this podcast, we got you in for a few more, so maybe like you can send it to me and we'll get it on the next one.
I think once you hear it, you might think the intro needs to be on this one. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. So, dealing with the first guest that we had, they had a song called Bully. Now, anything bullying really kind of hits close to home to me. And you actually did a song called Bully Me This with, is it Fabiano? Is that how to say his last name?
I did the song with longtime Pro Tour, Grand Prix, and Star City Games mainstay Gerard Fabiano, or G-Fabs, or Team Italia, as he's commonly known, and also with American Idolist contestant Adam Ezegalian.
Which, Adam Ezegalian, I was totally rooting for him. And I was like, dude, I don't think he has a chance in hell with how America votes, because I've used to watch American Idol a lot, and I'm like, man, I really want him to win. But in my heart, I was like, I just don't think he's going to get there, because but you never know. Like, honestly, you never know with American Idol. But he was the guy I was kind of like, I want this guy. You know what I mean? So with Bully Me This, it's an anti-bully song. How did this song happen? Did they approach you with it? Or?
100. Yeah, I mean, so normally you got to especially imagine, since I have, such a big following on social media now, people are approaching me for collaborations all the time. And generally I turn them down. I have a very high bar. I'm an incredibly busy person. I'm always trying to there's not enough time in the day to make all the music I want to make, so I definitely don't have the time to make music other people want to make. Most of the time, that's the case. But Gerard Fabiano comes to me. That's a voice and a face I trust, from a cool dude who is by day a school teacher at like an elementary school, or I think maybe a middle school or a junior high school, and he's directly making this song about the experiences of kids in his class. And so that's a story I can't say no to. Like, tangential to the Magic community, yes. Somebody who I've directly derived benefit from watching them play in the past, and like reading their articles and even playing their decks at some point. Like, I have a karmic debt to this guy. I played the Team Italia deck for a while. He pioneered that. And it's all for a good cause. So 100% of the proceeds from that. Now, Adam Ezegalian, that's his friend. He got Adam into the picture, which was awesome. We got Gerard up here in person. He managed to stop in Buffalo on his way, driving from his home on the East Coast to somewhere in the Midwest. Buffalo's a pretty useful checkpoint for a lot of stuff like that. He crashed the night. We dialed in Adam remotely, through the internet, just like we're doing now. I got Adam recording his stuff into the software through here. Okay, that was awesome. The whole thing came together. The proceeds go to charity, and I think it might have raised, $5,000 or something.
Oh, wow.
It was definitely a successful effort. That was the last number I remember hearing. Granted, I haven't checked back with them in I think a year, but
I
it's
have
done
bought
really
and
well
downloaded
on
the song, so
Thank you for doing your part. They gave it all to their school's anti-bullying task force, I think, or a national anti-bullying task force. And it's just a good song, and every kid at the school was involved in the production of the video. Every parent was emotionally involved in, like, kid being in the video. And he was telling the stories from his actual class. So
Yeah.
I'm proud of that one.
Which, you guys, you can find the video for that on YouTube, on Spruke's page. And you can download the song on iTunes as well as Spotify and just about everything else you can find Spruke's music at. But I would highly recommend, even if the song isn't interesting to you, like you don't find it interesting, buy the song for the cause. I mean, it's all going to a great cause for stopping bullying altogether. I mean, I'm totally against bullying.
You know what's awesome, too? Everybody on the internet, even though the internet is such a haven for bullies, people mostly like recognize that as a good cause. If you check out the YouTube comments on that video, it's a YouTube video where the comments aren't shitty. And I can really get behind it. Everybody looking down, this is greatest. This is such a good message about bullying. We're so happy what this did for our community the whole way down. So thank you so much for like everybody who commented on that video. Nobody, you'd think that an anti-bullying video would be a troll magnet.
Now, I got to ask a question. Being as I was a fan of Adam, what was it like to work with him?
It only ever was remotely, so it's not that different than it's for you and me to work together right now. He's a musician, so he knows what's up. I wrote out and described the part for him I want. I sent him stems. He recorded them and sent them back. And that's actually the way I work with a lot of people now.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, if I remember correctly, which we'll touch base on that in another podcast or another episode, but when you worked with and collaborated with Patrick Chapin, I thought you guys were face-to-face on that one?
We are face-to-face, but actually, you know, what's really exciting, and I want to get into too many more details now, but we're actually able to work remotely now. And I have some other people I work remotely with, too, that's really exciting. And, I mean, that's how people are producing albums a lot these days. You send off the parts, the WAV files or a zip file to a talented person, have them do what they do, send them back, and keep trading back and forth. It's great.
The internet has become a very useful tool.
Yes.
And just think, someone probably a long time ago was like, oh, look, we got Prodigy. We can talk to people and meet new people.
Now, this is Prodigy, the ancient web link service, not the band that made Fat of the Land.
Yeah, I'm talking about Prodigy that came out before AOL or AOL, whichever you want to talk about it. But I remember back in the day, I think I was in junior high, and I was going on Prodigy to meet pen pals. And that was like in junior high. I was probably like 13 or 14, which was, I don't know. It was just something stupid that we were doing back then. We thought it was cool, but I don't know. But without any further ado, this is a song that, to me, I hold it near and dear to my heart because of the message that it precedes and presents to everybody, which is Bully Me This.
Bully me this, bully me that, 'cause bullying ends after this rap said. Bully me this, bully me that, 'cause bullying ends after this rap.
You're just a teenager, you don't see the big picture. You think her sad face she wants to bring with her. So you post on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Every message sent, another way to diss her. Show no respect, you already know it all. You don't need to be in class, that's why you're out in the hall. Plotting, you scheming, who's your next target? Here's what you're doing once the bullying started. Even words can hurt someone to the core. So for you to be happy, try to understand others. If someone else's failure makes you smile, then your insecurity is something no makeup can cover. Try to see into your future, then look back at your past. Hopefully you'll see when someone falls, it doesn't mean you laugh.
Bully me this, bully me that, 'cause bullying ends after this rap said. Bully me this, bully me that, 'cause bullying ends after this rap.
Bullies say,
Move it, stupid, you weak and useless.
head down, big frown, eyes stare, no one cares. Get to class in a hurry, can't see, eyes are blurry. Picture post that looks atrocious. Retweets, more beats, need a friend, more will this end. Bell rings, not again.
Be the generation that sets a foundation that ends up bullying in this nation. We the generation that sets a foundation that ends up bullying in this nation.
The other day, up in Fabiano's business class, there was a kid who was tweeting some trash. I said it's not good to bully, but better to bond. The kid said, yo, Babs, come on. Here's a story from room 1929. There was a bully who was spitting a line about a fat kid that was eating some fries. To my surprise, the others joined with the lies. This is what happens with all this aggression. This was like a classic straight oppression. Then the kid fell in a great depression. But then Adam spit this valuable lesson.
It's in your best interest to tell the principal, so no one ends up feeling miserable. Cause in the end, you'll find being a friend is the only thing that's gonna pay you a dividends. Bully me this, bully me that, if bullying ends after this rap said. Bully me this, bully me that, but bullying ends after this rap.
Cause if you call someone fat, now they won't eat their food. Call someone stupid, they drop out of school. Call someone ugly, man, that's just rude. You have no clue what they're going through. Cause over 3 million students get bullied each year. So let me make this abundantly clear.
You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. Cause bullying is
the ultimate pollution. Cause no matter your gender, everyone's a contender. Bullying's not just a fender bender. So don't surrender, cause there's no need for ridicule or to be cruel. Just follow the golden rule. Treat others the way you wanna be treated. Tweeted a mean comment, man, just delete it. Now put an end to all this he said, she said nonsense. And think twice about those hurtful comments.
bully me this, bully me that, if bullying ends after this rap said. Bully me this, bully me that, but bullying ends after this rap. Bully me this,
Or bully me that, cause bullying ends after this rap. I said bully me this, or bully me that, cause bullying ends after this rap.
Alright, guys, that was Bully Me This. Like I said, go and buy it off of iTunes, Spotify, wherever you can find it. Just buy it for the cause. Like I said, it's a good song. Go check out the video. I'll put the links to everything right below this so you guys can go and check it out. But moving on, we're going to talk about right now, because like I said, Spruke has been like transformed and evolved, so to speak, throughout the beginning of his career to where he's at now. So let's talk about right now the current projects that you're doing and where you see things going in the future for you.
Okay, well, so let's talk about the Kickstarter first, because there is no story of Spruke right now without the story of the Kickstarter. Music to Die Alone in Space 2 was opened in September of 2015, and it ended at the close of September 2015 for $26,000. And the whole thing was fundamentally like this insight I had, especially from having made Bump in the Night for so long. I was realizing music was becoming so disposable. Music is disposable now to everybody. I mean, you can crank out tracks. I crank out tracks. I can make 3 songs a week, and I do. But I'm running this podcast where I'm taking songs people made, spinning them, and then I'm done. And every week I need like 60 more of those. And it's okay because there's 60 more that are just like it. And I realized suddenly music has become cheap and music has become of marginal value. There's a famous stat that shortly after the release of her giant album, the one that had Bad Romance and everything on it, Lady Gaga made $150 in a month from Spotify for total amount of streams. And that was for like 3 million streams. She made $150, which goes to show you how little an individual listen is worth. So I had this idea, like, how can you actually put value back in music again, right? When supply and demand is that there's more music than ever before and that you are blending together with the rest of your genre, how can you make music rare? And that's something that people are recapturing with vinyl. But I recaptured it with the idea, the bold and unprecedented idea, which, by the way, I'm still paying for today, that that you could have your own album. Okay, so Music to Die Alone in Space 2 is an ambient music album that you got to decide the specs for when you bought it. And then I re-record the album from scratch for you. And every person's copy of the album is unique. So maybe in track 1, it opens with a series of beeps on one person's album and then a big bass drop. Whereas on album 2, I used a completely different set of instruments, and it begins with a big swooping pad sound, no beeps, no drop, and then a really nice like bass line or something. And so like literally I'm on my way to recording this album. It was a $65 album, and it had 310 copies sold. So if you ever want to figure out how you can sell a $65 a copy album in this day and age without it being like an actual physical product, this is what it takes. So I sold 310 copies, and it has been, what has it been? About 14 months. No, a little longer. It's been about 18 months, and I have made 150 of the 310 albums. Massive shout outs to my wife. I couldn't be finishing this without her. I recorded all the music for all 310 copies myself, but then the most painful part, or the part that winds up being a lot of work, is taking all the pieces I recorded and overlaying them onto each other, combining them so that they make a full copy, making sure it lines up correctly, tagging and tracking it, mastering it, and sending it out to them. And she's helping me with that step, like the bookkeeping and the data entry of it. And it's just been so huge. I don't think I could have made especially because the album is so sad. I mean, it's an ambient music album, but it has Hollywood quality voice actors on it. People whose names you'll recognize from animation throughout the ages. Laura Bailey, Chris Sabat, Mikey Neumann, Daniel Graves, Laura Shigihara. People who played big characters in big shows. As a matter of fact...
Just name drop like crazy, why don't you?
I know. I hear Laura Bailey's voice like every single day because I play so much Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm and other Blizzard products. And now, every time I hear Sylvanas or Jaina say something, I can only hear Laura Bailey saying, like, I'm running out of air in my spacesuit. But the album is well acted, especially Brina Palencia's copy. And so, like, I have to listen to them as they're being made, and it's really powerful to me because it's all about, like, things that I've had to deal with. And the person dies at the end. I mean, the album is called Music to Die Alone in Space 2. So spoiler alert, you die alone in space. And especially the Brina Palencia copy, like, I can't take it. I cry. And here's the hardest part. Part of the personalization of the album is that every backer could request, like, right at the moment where the astronaut loses consciousness and dies, they can hear a tiny snippet of music in the radio from Earth. That's to make this, like, unique to them. So, like, if you were having this experience and you were dying alone in space, what would be the last thing you heard flickering through your mind before you lost consciousness? And sometimes it's, Freebird. Sometimes it's a classical piece by Mozart. But, like, some people, like, somebody sent in a recording of him and his wife saying their wedding vows. And, like, so then I had to make this album and listen to it. And that was like the last copy I was able to make myself, because I was just destroyed for the rest of the night when I heard it from making it. I was like, oh my God. It's like too real. It's like an artist having to relive the thing. So together, though, me and my wife have made about 150 copies of the 310 in. This is 310 unique recordings of the same script and piece of music. And it's just the artistic undertaking of a lifetime. And I almost can't wait to do it again, but boy, will I
if somebody wants to, if somebody listening wants to get a copy of that, how do they get their own copy of that made?
You would have had to have backed the Kickstarter, because just right now, there's a very long wait list. I have about 164 people waiting for their copies that they've already paid for and participated in before I can begin servicing person number 311. So ask me that question again in 2 years. Now, there are 3 copies available publicly that belong to nobody in particular. I made 3 unique copies of the album and put them on YouTube for generic listening. They're also in iTunes. They're also in Spotify. The 3 copies are called Music to Die Alone in Space 2, the Andromeda version. That one is featuring the voice of Laura Bailey and has a Debussy piece right at the very end. It's also a very aggressive approach to the album. The second one is called Music to Die Alone in Space 2, Cepheus. That one has Chris Sabat as the voice actor and features Across the Universe as the song at the end. And it features a very 80s synthesizer-heavy take on all the musical passages. And then the third one is called Music to Die Alone in Space 2, Tsuki no Usagi, and that one features Laura Shigihara, the singer, songwriter, and voice actor and film composer for all of PopCap Studios games, most known for doing the music for Plants vs. Zombies and Peggle. And that one closes with Across the Universe and has a very whimsical, quirky, bouncy take on the album. Then everyone else's copies comes out as the person, asked. The voice actor they asked for, they had their choice of 14 distinct voice actors. You could choose 14 different album arts to be the album art that gets put out on your copy. And then the music is a big surprise.
Yeah. That's just really interesting, dude. I'm kind of blown away with all that.
I do want to emphasize the power of Twitter, man, because you know how you get somebody like Daniel Graves from Aesthetic Perfection or somebody like Laura Bailey, whose voice I'm already hearing several times a day to help you with this, is you get in touch with them and you ask. And granted, I had a really cool product. Plus, to be fair, I could pay. And nobody works for free.
Nobody works for free.
I was able to pay market rates. I paid, like, for instance, one of the album arts was by Matt Cavada. One of the pieces of album art was by Richard Kane Ferguson. I had to get in touch with them and get honest, legit quotes. And I will tell you that, like, Richard Kane Ferguson, my favorite magic artist of all time, he doesn't work cheap.
If I end up doing this, if you end up doing this for me, I want RK Post to do mine. I'm just saying.
Well, the choices are all done.
The money's been spent.
The money's been spent. I did not get an RK Post, but I could send you. You'll be able to see on the Kickstarter page all 12 album arts. There are 14 album arts you could choose from.
I might actually join the Kickstarter on that just to get on that.
All right, like I said though, there's a lot of people waiting for theirs ahead of you. We can be sure to use Wir können nicht Deutsch or The Storm or something, or 80 Above or 20 Below as your last song, or something else that's really meaningful to you, man. Your favorite wrestler's theme song.
There you go. Or even just like the part in The Storm where Chapin's like, you gotta flip it, man. You gotta flip it. No peeking.
If that's the last thing that would run through your mind as you run out of oxygen, that's the best, man.
It probably wouldn't be. It would probably be something totally wrestling related, but that's just me.
The Undertaker theme song because you're dying? I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. It's something I'd have to give a lot of thought to. Oh, man. So, the podcast that you were running for so long, Bump in the Night, which is now going on to Twitch and Facebook Live and Twitter Live, which you've already referred to it so much, and you jumped ahead of me so much while getting to it. But that's fine. I mean, you never know where interviews are going to go, and that's okay. I try to keep a strict schedule of what I'm working on, but things happen, things come up, and you just run with it. So with the transformation of Bump in the Night going from like iTunes as a podcast to now just being like live on Twitch and Facebook and Twitter, you've said it's more, oh man, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say humbling, but it's more meaningful because you're able to reach out to your listeners more than just any other way that you've done things. So
I mean, yeah, I'd say humbling is actually not that far off base, but it's authentic. I mean, so Bump in the Night was a great step, and I'm kind of nostalgic, but great with bringing it to a noble close after 4 years and 4 months of uninterrupted running on Mondays. An hour every week. I only ever missed 2 to 3 total weeks in that whole time frame.
I remember when you started that, man.
And yeah, I mean, I remember when I started it too. It was the week after I stopped drinking. It was originally a good way to buy and acquire a DJ library and put it to use every week.
Yeah.
But I also was spitting it all out into the void without feedback. And now that I'm DJing on Twitch every week, I no longer am putting together carefully curated sets where I plan out the songs and say, these are all new tracks from this week that I haven't spun before.
Yeah.
So what I would be doing is just playing my best set each week and evolving that, as well as making allowances for my mood, my whim, and the comings and goings of people in the chat. So like at any given point, I had to be prepared to slam mix into Starstorm when somebody showed up in the chat and asked for Starstorm.
I remember the episode that you did for Bump in the Night where it was a longer episode. I think it was like 2 or 3 hours, where it was actually like recorded from a live DJ set that you actually did. And I thought that was kind of cool.
I did those many times.
Yeah, there was a few of them, but like I remember the first one because you and I were talking on Facebook. You'd be like, "Hey, this next one's going to be longer and it's going to be live." And I'm like, "Live? How are you going to do it?"
And I mean, in my time, you could already tell though the format was starting to hurt. It initially started out a lot kind of like Tiesto's Club Life or Above and Beyond's Trance Around the World, where it's just a consistent like mix each week. But I eventually began experimenting and pushing the boundaries of my art with special features like Bump Under the Night, Bump Over the Night, Bump in the Morning, Bump Lightning Round, Bump It Easy, Bump Live Rip, Chip in the Night, Bump and Swing. Right? So that's a lot of special things happening there. And eventually what was happening was I've been putting up mixes there for the last year that each week it kind of is like the same mix with changes in order because I'm really perfecting my craft, and right now I've got a best set, and I bring that best set to Twitch
you are a perfectionist.
Yeah, well,
which leads into where I'm getting hit here.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Because the song that you say is kind of like referring it to the movie Mr. Holland's Opus, where it's just like his grand, musical piece that he wrote, which is with yours with 80 above or 20 below. You've had like 4 different versions of that song.
Yep.
And
I don't know, it's clearly the song that I couldn't let go of until I got it right. And if I had to sum myself up in a single song, I've worked that song to death, so I don't even know that I would like... Actually, I've had 5 different versions of that song. Wow. I forgot that I made a dubstep mix of it. Anyway... well,
I got to get my hands on that one.
Yeah, I'll send you that one over. So, the truth is, if I had to say, for better or worse, like Radiohead has done a lot, but will they always be defined by creep? They probably will. And 80 Above or 20 Below is the song I can't get away from, because the message of Spruke has always been one of anxiety and depression, but also fun and hope in face of that. And only 80 Above or 20 Below takes it to that dark of a place where
and the video
it relates.
for it is amazing. It's amazing the quality of what it was, because it was just, done with one person and a camera, but for that, it actually turned out really well.
I mean, I think it looks a little unprofessional to me now by the standards I have today,
but from when it was done, I'm saying the time frame of where it was done, it looks really nice.
It drives the message home, at least, which is the fundamental idea. People talk about the 80-20 rule, but that's also about the range of temperatures in Buffalo, and it gets to the heart of the depression, which is, and you might know this being from a Rust Belt place yourself, right? There's something in the air with the people here, and I don't know if that's true in Wisconsin and Michigan, but I know it is in Buffalo and Cleveland. And it's changed recently a little bit, but especially during my formative years, this overwhelming sadness, because the weather is going to be shitty and your sports teams are going to suck and you are probably thinking too much. And it just it doesn't matter how good or bad things get. The cold is the rule, and it might be nice for a little while.
Yeah.
But you are filling in time until the cold comes back. And so that was the idea with the music video, is we put the whole thing through so many blue filters, and we filmed just a ton of it of me just trudging through the snow, through actual blizzards, which is be sad, man. This sucks. This is what it's like here.
Yeah. And you were talking about sports teams sucking. Me personally, I live in Wisconsin, and there is not probably a single sports team that I root for that's from the state of Wisconsin.
Try being the Buffalo Bills.
Well,
right?
I'm a Cubs fan, and actually last 2 years we actually had something to be proud of being a Cubs fan. But all them years prior, it's been rough, dude. Being a Cubs fan has always been hard. And then for football, I'm a Buccaneers fan, so I kind of know where you're coming from with being a Bills fan. I
don't know, though. Both your teams you mentioned, man, they have won, or they have been great. We are the city of nice guys finish last and close but no cigar. You lose the Super Bowl 4 times straight.
There was that joke that was going around. What does Bills stand for? Boy, I love losing Super Bowls.
Yeah. I mean, did you know the Buffalo Bills playoff drought is old enough that you can buy it a beer now? That is the playoff drought of the Buffalo Bills is old enough to legally drink. If it was a human being and not a concept. But
but they've had some great talent that's been on that team.
I know, that's one of the most frustrating things. I mean, I know I don't want to turn this into a football podcast all of a sudden, but part of the rule is watching the cycles of hope and then it being squandered, and how coaching and decision making and general management have interfered with our ability to make the use out of people like T.O., who was a celebrity everywhere else and floundered here, Marshawn Lynch, who floundered here, then won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks the next year. Yep. The Buffalo Bills is just made of people who we know are better than they are, never seem to find a way to produce here, and then suddenly go somewhere else and realize their full potential.
You guys had Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas for the longest time, and that was just wow. I remember growing up watching the two of them, and I remember when they went into the one Super Bowl, there was one of them. I can't remember, because they went to 3 or 4 straight, and they lost every time. There was one of them where I'm like, dude, I'm actually rooting for the Bills this year. And my buddy was like, why? And I'm like, because I always root for the underdog, or a team that has never won the ring, or I that's what I root for, because I feel everybody should get a chance. That's just me.
All right. Well, you want to spin out that 80 above or 20 below?
I will definitely spin that out for you guys. Like I said, this is his masterpiece. This is the second version, which you can find on Infectipede. This is 80 above or 20 below. But before we get that, I just want to say thank you, Spruke. Thank you, Bill, for coming out. I can't wait to have you on again.
Thank you, man. I can't wait for you to have me. This has been super fun.
All right, guys. Here's 80 above or 20 below.
It's just a series of degrees.